First step is to get in touch with your breath as it is, just what feels good. Breathing in and breathing out. And just start to settle a little bit more with that, being content with just that. And if you would, then start to count silently to yourself about what would be the approximate length in seconds of your comfortable inhale and your comfortable, pretty full and complete exhale. Good. And then hopefully after, maybe 4 or 5 rounds of your breath, you can get a sense of, how equal or not they are. Most people find that, yeah, there's some, part that's maybe a little bit longer or shorter than the other, and that's not a problem. That is just how you're breathing right now in this moment. That may be kind of typical or usual for you, but now we're going to consciously shape our breaths so that they are exactly balanced. And it's not like you're forcing your inhale to be as long as your exhale, or your exhale to be as long as your inhale. You're finding the an equalizing of the breaths so that they match. And so somewhere in the middle, you find that balance. So your complete and full inhalation and your complete and full exhalation. Good. And so here you are symbolically, celebrating within yourself the ability to balance out as much as you can. We have so many extremes in our lives, and some of those are just really exciting, and we can really appreciate. And there's times where they get a little too extreme, and then you can really appreciate how it feels to bring yourself back into uh, some state of balance. And your breath, this amazing capacity that you have, your body has, you do have conscious control, but isn't it so cool that when you are not thinking about it, it still keeps happening. Maybe not quite as effectively as when you are paying attention to it, but it is happening. And so the more of these fantastic tools that you can put in your toolbox and pull those out whenever you know it could be useful, which is pretty much any time, honestly. And of course, this is also a mindful awareness technique as well, because whenever you choose to just focus on your breath, and especially adding in that counting and balancing out thing, your whole mind and consciousness is really quite focused on all of that, which is only happening right now in this present moment. And that's pretty cool in itself. Great tools, great techniques. And then, of course, at some point in this class, we want to start moving along with that conscious breathing. So why don't we start by shaking our arms and hands out alongside you, start to make some fists, maybe curl in, maybe shrug your shoulders up a bit towards your ears, inhaling and exhaling. Really let all that go. Again, maybe even pucker up your lips and clench your eyes as you squeeze everything up and in, and then exhale. Really let go. If that's feeling good to you, maybe one more. You could do even more of that tension or less, maybe make it more subtle. Any way you like, and then let things go, shake out, and let's go right on into our shoulder rolls. Nice and fluid. Maybe working into a little bit of a larger range of motion if it is pain free for you. Going slow, really paying attention. Excellent. A few more times around. And then taking a pause, balancing out the shoulders. And again, if you'd like to shake all the way out through those arms and those hands, then place your hands along the sides of your chair. Maybe you can press down a little bit through the arms and give yourself just a little tiny boost to lengthen you up through your torso and spine as much as you can be. And then feel yourself re-rooting right there down into those sits bones of yours, the pelvis, kind of feeling that connection, but maintain the length. That means do engage some through your deep core to keep a feeling of stability through your hips, pelvis, low back, abdominal region, all helping you out as you sway from right to left, breathing all the while. And you can make this a little bit more subtle anytime or stop altogether, or you could keep, whatever degree of lean, thinking like a pendulum swinging. And then let's do this. Try to keep your nose pointing straight ahead. The next time you lean to your right, just turn your eye gaze as far to the right as you can over there. Then back through center. Try not to turn your head. Just take your eye gaze towards the left as you lean to the left. Blinking in between, or if you feel like the eyes are not quite ready for that kind of work, then maybe you're just going to practice conscious blinking as you continue to lean from right to left a few more times. And then once you feel pretty balanced out from your right to the left, landing back at your center, equally rooting. And yes, when we do that consciously and get that sense of center, then we are finding that sense of balance within. So why not match that breath that you had discovered for yourself before? Inhaling and exhaling in a way that's equalizing. Now I'd like you to really keep that equalized breath of yours going and just start to move through your toes at the same time. And then you can ground down through the toes, through the balls of the feet, and lift your heels to whatever degree you can. And then ground on down through the heels. Spread, wiggle, or even lift your toes as much as you can there. I really appreciated what Sherry was sharing with all of us in Monday's class about how she's got some pain going on in her big toes, and she, they don't know exactly why, and she's done a lot of things to try to figure that out. But she does know that while she doesn't want to force these kind of movements and go into, an aggravated state, but doing some degree of something like this really has been the only thing that she's discovered so far that really seems to help with that. So I would chalk that up to another yay for yoga story, because little things like that can make a big difference, and it all comes from applying mindful awareness, honoring your body and what it's telling you, and finding that range of motion, that pain-free range of motion or way of doing whatever your teacher may be suggesting you do, or your PT or OT or whatever it may be, but really feeling empowered to work within your own comfort zone and in your own pain-free range of motion. That's not to say that I don't want you to be challenging yourself. In fact, I give you opportunities every class, I hope, to challenge yourself in one way or another. Often my challenges are geared towards really activating and exciting your nervous system in some very specific ways that really help to turn that on and get the signals through, even if it's just a hint of it, to the different areas of the body in complex ways, which we all know really is good for brain functionality, neuroplastic abilities. So we're going to keep doing a few things like that. If you want to add in some alternate arm curls or fists on one arm and hand and then the other as we do any alternate kind of feet movements down there, whatever's working well for you. Couple more deep, full breaths. Great job. And then let's plant. Heels, balls of the feet, toes, spread those fingers to kind of help feel all the way through the hands to the fingertips, the feet through all the way to the toes, and then come upright and sit nice and tall. Now, notice where you are in relation to the back of your chair. You could give yourself those little leaning scoots to come forward a little bit more if you need more room behind you, or you could do those little chair dips, strengthening mindfully any that you know you need to do that safely, and then restabilize at a sense of your back at center. So I often will do this when I'm saying center, because I find that most of us in most positions will find that it's somewhere between here and here that we tend to feel our sense of center. And so I do this, but one of my really honestly favorite things to do is either this, because my heart center, maybe a little bit more dominant as my feeling of center than my solar plexus, but they, both of them can and will be at times, but to do something that helps you feel like centered. So using your hands in certain ways, and, or placing, those kind of things can help you feel more centered. And isn't that beautiful? You can be anywhere, anytime, and you're feeling in a kind of an extreme in one way or another. And you can do some simple things like this to just be, okay, here's the center, come back to the center. And of course, you're using your breath. Let's reach up with your right arm, finding any degree of extension that feels good. This first one, I really like to sense through your body, really, and you're reaching through your right side. So through that shoulder, through that elbow, through the hand, and hopefully, essentially, getting some degree of feeling of opening here in the side body. But again, not if it's painful for any other part. So bend into a shorter lever or a different angle, give it support. Take a nice full inhalation wherever your arm may be, and as we exhale, let's go ah. Here we go. Ah. Excellent job, and really kind of awakening those vocal cords. Swallowing intentionally is another great way of bringing that energy and awareness here. Then when you feel ready, let's start to explore through your left side. Arm, shoulder, elbow, hand, side body. Explore what's going to be best for you on this side. It may be much more subtle, or using support and really honoring your body and what it needs. Or maybe this is your side that you feel you can really reach more, maybe get a little bit more stretch through the side body. You decide. And each and every moment, actually, you have that power of choice. And I like to use the word power because it is an empowerment that you are developing every time you do things like this. Okay, get your lips ready. We're going to go into the E sound, coming down with that arm. Here we go. E. Ooh, good job. Swallow intentionally. Make sure you come back to that natural flow of breath, and eventually, in some way, try to land back to a feeling of balance and equanimity in your body, in your breath. Sometimes it's elusive. Sometimes it might take a little more time to really feel like you're getting even close to that. And other times it just can be something just like placing your intention on that just helps you feel like, yes, okay, now I'm coming from my center. What's next? Something maybe out from your center. So let's pick up your right leg, give it some support. First, maybe just pointing, flexing ankle, foot, and of course, any more action through those toes that feels good. I quite like the circling, slow circling, in as much of a circular range of motion as you can, pain-free in one direction, and then the other direction. Try to energize through your toes if at all possible. Some people really cramp up easily though when they go through things like this. So you work, certainly if you go into any kind of degree of cramp, you do everything it takes to work that out as soon as possible, and then just work within a more subtle range of motion until you feel complete. Sitting upright nice and tall. How about either one arm, just your right arm, or both arms at the same time, finding reach, finding extension, finding breath. Move through all of your fingers wherever they may be. Good. And then thinking balance as you would be lowering these arms on down. So trying to be as symmetrical as you can in your body. And let's go through all 5 vowel sounds on one long exhalation. So inhale completely. Here we go. A, E, I, O, U. Drawing yours out, returning to breath, center, and some swallowing. Excellent. When you're ready, pick up your left leg, move through that lower leg, ankle, foot, toes, maybe getting into some circular motion. Again, try to keep it slow and as deliberate as possible. I'm getting some clicking in a certain range of motion as I go through that circular motion, but it's not at all painful, but I'm noticing that. Sometimes that can, be some wear and tear that we don't want to make worse. Other times it's just the way our ankle has come to fit together at this stage in life. And believe me, my ankles have they've been through a lot and recovered quite well many times over. So I can't blame it for clicking a little bit. I'm just glad it's not painful and that they still work for me. So a lot to be grateful for. I hope that you can send your body that same kind of gratitude. Okay, then when you're back to your center and you have planted, feeling complete on that left foot of yours, sitting upright, nice and tall. Maybe give yourself a little boost to help with that tallness. Sitting upright, engage through your deep core as you need to. Again, we're going to do that little lean from right to left. And this time, keeping and maintaining the length of your spine all the way through. And try now turning your head and looking to the right as you lean to the right. Back through center, turn your head to the left as you lean to the left. Maybe you're mindfully blinking in between as you lean off to the other side and turn your head to the other side, then look that way, blinking, blinking, blinking. Couple more times. So good for the nervous system here. Again, it seems pretty simple, but it's not. It's actually a rather complex movement that is very good and enhancing of your proprioceptive system, which are basically it's a communication system all throughout your body. Nervous system, obviously, letting you know where your body is in space and how far out from your center you may be at any given time, and knowing and activating those muscles and those structures to help stabilize and eventually bring you back to your center again. Sitting upright nice and tall, let's move through that sense of center and a rocking, slow lean back and forth to any degree that feels good. Not to say you don't want to be challenged. So if you're not experiencing any pain thus far, and especially any part of your spine, any part of your back, then you can challenge yourself by either rocking and leaning back a little bit more, or rocking, leaning back and holding that position for a little bit longer. Make sure you are breathing. In fact, maybe holding and challenging yourself here a little bit longer, and challenge yourself to do some equalized flow of breath. So whatever that count of inhale and exhale that you identified before, maybe you're just going to do 1 or 2 of those because this is challenging. And of course, we don't want to be aggravating anything, but Then when you feel complete, sitting upright, nice and tall. So let's go into the backstroke rolling range of motion now with these shoulders. Really let your breath flow as you find a comfortable range of motion that you may want to make more subtle, or possibly taking it into a little bit more of a wider, that means more complex range of motion that requires more stability through your shoulder joint and whole areas here, and also mobility. So we always kind of want to find that balance. Talk about this, as I think we had this discussion within the last week. So along with the equinox season that we're in, yoga, a well-designed yoga practice will continually bring you in your own unique body to that place of balance between the ideal amount of mobility and flexibility. So if you want to do some of these with me as you breathe, but this is a great example of an exercise that helps you with both mobility and stability, stability being the strength component. So you need to have the right balance of each, and it's going to be different for all of us what we need. Some of us are more stiff, some of us are more solid, some of us have deeper joint ball and socket configuration. That means that those people need to work a little bit more on mobilizing and finding a good, comfortable range of motion. Maybe you're the opposite, more like me. We've got a lot of mobility here. So for me personally, my practice is geared more towards stability, strengthening, finding ways to balance out that pretty wide range of motion that I have with the needed strength and stability to make it functional. Functional, that's another core foundation here of everything that we do in these classes. We wanted to all be leading towards a functional ability for us to maintain a good level of life, quality of life, and independence. It's nice too. All right, sitting upright, nice and tall. Let's pick up your right leg. Let's do an extension at your knee and a bend, and try to tuck your heel under your chair if you can. 3 more times. Breathing along with it. Good. And then on the last one, if you want to hold any degree of extension, engage through these strong muscles through your thighs, hamstrings, quadriceps, and a flex to the foot for that extra stretch that you might be getting here. And then bending when you're ready, place it on down, sitting upright, nice and tall. So we're gonna reach again. If you were just reaching with the right arm last time, we did. If you can want to just balance it out or do whatever you need to do. Again, I'm gonna reach with both arms. Why? Well, because I have both the mobility and the stability to move them in a pain-free range of motion that I've had to discover for myself, and so that's what I'm going to do. But you know your unique body, and please honor that. We're going to go through. Let's see. Let's go woo, wee, wah. So W. Woo, wee, wah, as we lower these arms down slowly. So inhale, woo, wee, wah, all the way through and down. You can shake out or roll out, maybe even double shoulder rolls this time if that feels okay. Forward, up, back, and down. I'm just doing this to kind of emphasize and demonstrate, the motion that I am suggesting. But doing this with the arms and the elbows, absolutely not necessary. You're still getting the useful range of motion without needing to do that. Because again, I've got super flexible, mobile shoulder joint areas, so this this works well for me at this stage in my life. It may not always, but it's for this unique structure. It's more about finding what really works well for you. So hope that you're more and more getting that that really, it's wisdom that you are gaining with your body mind relationship, mindful movement, and honoring what your body's telling you. Okay, let's do some either alternate heel lifts, and maybe that's a good place to start, as you would find alternate arm curls. And so if you're going to move into marching steps, as I am next, then feeling strong and stable in your deep core. And when you're ready, it's going to be arm curling with the opposite leg lifting. And then you can slowly transform your marching movement, hopefully getting some feeling of coordination, upper body, lower body. You don't have to lift your knees so high. You don't have to go this slow. You could go faster. You could stomp harder. You could add in some other things to your marching steps, making it either more challenging or more subtle and nourishing for what you and your body needs right here, right now. So again, always searching out that awesome sense of balance. Again, it's very elusive in this human three-dimensional world that we live in. Things tend to just be drawn out of balance, and we might have to really look towards balance. But that's why these times of the year, the equinoxes, can be just really worth taking in fully, and like where can I get more balance? How can I bring in more balance and equanimity, or just identify the parts of your life that you do have control over, because we don't have control over a lot of these things, but when you do identify something you have control over, that you could then, with your awareness, start to think about, plant seeds at least, on how you could bring it into a little bit more balance. Maybe for a fleeting moment, there might be complete balance for a little bit. Recognize that time and place and how that feels in you, physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, all those different levels of your being. Okay, I think I've about reached my level of warming up, almost fatigued out, but not quite there, I hope. So you can identify whatever that place is for you. And when you're ready, planting the feet, standing or sitting upright, nice and tall. And let's do some pelvic tilting. If you want to place your hands here and do those little gentle movements through your low back, through your hips and pelvis. And then you can either keep it subtle, keep that focus, or you could start to involve more of your spine, more of your torso, more of your shoulders and ribs, more of your neck and the position of your head. And this is a fabulous movement to match with your breath. Try to get back to that nice equalized flow of breath that you identified for yourself earlier in this class. And try to match the movement of your spine all the way from the tailbone, the pelvis, low back, mid back or rib cage area, and cervical spine, neck, which obviously then moves your head. A few more times. Great job, everyone. Sitting upright, nice and tall. That means neutral pelvis and some stability through the deep core as you sit upright, nice and tall. Okay, next, a little bit more hip opening I think we need to focus on here, and then we'll take it to standing for those who would like to. So, just starting with this right leg of yours moving out of the hip, not rotating at the knee or the ankle. It's all right there in the hip. Maybe you like to pick it up, give it that support with your right arm, and move out and in to any degree. that works for you here. Staying subtle in that real nice comfort zone for you. But again, challenging yourself to some degree when it feels right. And that could be increasing range of motion, the lift of your leg, moving into different levels, or circling that leg around. And again, ball and socket joint here, like the shoulders, is capable to do some degree of range of motion like this, but depending on you, your body, your structure, which you will honor and not try to force things to happen that it's just not good for your structure, or your structure may not allow it. There's also injuries and other things that have happened that, again, they're part of who you are and they will be honored. And then when you feel complete on that right side for you, place on down, sit upright nice and tall, full complete breaths. Let's do the, what did we do before? Wah, woo, wee? Wah, woo, wee. I forget. It's something like that with the W sounds. If you like, arms can reach up too. Here we go with the deep inhalation. Wah, woo, wee. A little different than we did the last time. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling completely. Wah, woo, wee. You can pretend that you're sliding down a slide or something really fun and stimulating, because those sounds tend to kind of go along with things like that. So you can ignite your imagination to whatever you want to go along with those, those fun sounds. Okay, left hip, let's explore. Out and in any degree, keeping it low, well supported, working in pain-free range of motion that does not compromise your knee joint or your ankle joint either, and maybe picking it up. Out and in, focusing on what this side of your body really wants and needs to do today. Pain-free range of motion, and maybe going into some degree of challenge as you have been discovering your pain-free range of motion and maybe wanting to explore more possibilities with that. All right. Great job, everyone. So whenever you do feel complete on that side of yours, then you can bring it all back in, paralleling the legs, planting the feet on down, sitting upright nice and tall. Okay, let's do our mindful transition series with either the intention to, stay close to your chair, keep working all the great functional movements and abilities of this transition series to whatever degree you want. Maybe you can create the intention to explore eventually getting to a standing position where you may join me for a few standing exercises. But again, that is not required, and everything can be lovely and beneficial even if you choose to stay in your chair seated. I love this one right here in itself, super good. Deep core engagement involving inner thighs and some of these lower stabilizers through here really has helped me out with my my sacral dysfunction issues that sometimes lead into a lot of discomfort and pain, like sciatica. But I try to do as much preventative things on a regular basis like this so that that does not develop. And again, it's that perfect balance of finding the mobility that we need in this area with the right amount of stability. And if you do have sacral issues, low back issues, you probably want to focus a little bit more, if maybe even a lot more, on stabilizing in those areas than trying to mobilize them. Okay. Some degree of mobility is needed though. Okay, so anytime you might feel ready to do further steps up the ladder, if you will, on your mindful transition series, that could be a little chair dip, holding, or just returning slowly with control each time. Knowing where your feet are and their position is so important. If you are going to get a little bit more weight bearing, especially if you ever are using this transition series as it is intended to help you transition out of a chair or out of a seated position somewhere and into a standing position, then knowing where your feet are before you just go for that stand up thing is really important, along with knowing your deep core is engaged. And finding out by this rocking motion is one of the best ways to know how much deep core engagement you will need to eventually get that mindful, strong, balanced boost up and out of that seated position. Holding, I like that because, here you can not only get really useful strengthening, you can also easily return back down to the chair. In fact, sometimes we just need to plop right on back down into that chair. And those times happen. I'd rather you be closer to the chair than having already stood up. And then it's a lot more likely that something more dangerous could happen if you find that you need to plop back into your chair. So slow and controlled, maybe you feel ready to take that nice full stand up to whatever degree, and then a slow and controlled with trying not to plop down back to your seated position. So please take a little more time at least to go through those parts of the transition series that you want to really focus on for yourself today, knowing that this is what's most beneficial for you. It could be the whole series all the way through. It could be one component of the series or several. And again, figuring out here sometime if being in a standing position and holding a standing position in various ways is going to be a good idea for you today, and how you're feeling all the way through your body, and also very much giving yourself permission to come back down to the chair and do whatever you need or want to in a seated position that way. I myself am going to go into a standing position, so I let my block go off to the side. If it just falls out, that's okay too. Just make sure you don't trip on it, because if you're going to stay standing along with me, we need to get ourselves in the right proximity to our balance supports. So moving off to the side into that good position, moving behind your chair. I think I'm going to, because I don't have a lot of room behind me here, I'm going to be moving furniture, which immediately makes things more risky. So a lot of deep core awareness. And if you can just move your body into the right position versus having to move furniture, I would always prefer that if at all possible. So don't don't do as I do, moving this heavy, bulky furniture around. See if you can find a way to maneuver your body into the best position. But sometimes you do have to do things like that. So I don't know if you can see back here, but my feet are a little bit wider apart, maybe shoulders width or a little bit wider. My toes are angled out just a little bit. Um, and so that way it supports my knee in a good alignment as I do these mini side lunges, which is also a rhythmic range of motion, which has, again, all those great benefits of nervous system activation, enhancement, and working out of center, coming back to center, moving out from center, back to center, much like we were doing when we were leaning side to side on our chair seats. And then if everything's felt good with this so far, go ahead and bend into your right knee and feel free to hold that. hold it for just a breath or two, come back to center, or hold it a little bit longer. Maybe if you've got the strength and the flexibility, so again, we're finding balance of mobility and stability, that you could maybe step out a little bit wider, angle your right foot a little bit more to the right as you bend into that knee, perhaps a little bit more. Notice how my knee is pretty much right above my ankle. That is ideal again for good knee alignment. And then you can have the other leg lengthened out, foot at whatever angle feels good. Now, it's very easy to feel out of balance. This is asymmetrical, at least from the hips and pelvis on down. One side of the body is doing something pretty different than the other side. What brings it into balance? Well, deep core engagement for one. So even though, you know, my legs are being stabilized and engaged in different ways, when I engage, all those deep core muscles stabilize and elongate up through the spine as much as I can. And please feel free to use your support props here to help you feel like from here on up, you are in a pretty centered position. And this could be done seated in your chair. I know you know that. But seated or standing, things might feel very different down here, but from here on up, you feel balanced. Now, here's another way you could kind of celebrate that sense of balance in the moment. One would be deliberately just extending one arm, say your right arm, towards the right and turning your head to look towards the right. Now you can kind of feel like this is a way that you could be symbolically looking back over the last season. How about from the solstice to today? You know, just kind of gazing it out there, like, you know, it's on that horizon. You're looking back over that and honoring all that has been during that season that's brought you to here. And then you can lower that right arm down back to your steady support prop. If you don't mind holding the pose a little bit longer, you can extend the left arm out to the left, turn your head to the left, and this is like you are looking into what's next. So you're planting the seeds, creating the intentions from this great, strong, centered place, and you are gazing out at all the possibilities of what this season is going to be bringing. And just infuse that with a lot of love, a lot of light, a lot of gratitude, and stay in the love energy with that. Try not to let fear get infused in that. And then when you're ready, we can come on back to a standing position, mountain pose, whatever you need to feel good. Marching steps might be it, or just alternate heel lifts. Maybe there's a little squat by, you know, sitting back a little bit. This is nice because it's a symmetrical pose that stabilizes. There may be a forward fold that your body is saying that would be really great now after holding that strong lunge warrior two position for as long as we just did. So feel free to, you know, take those moments to pause and renew, regenerate, and absorb everything that we've already done. Back at your center, back at this place of relative balance. Then, if you would like to, stepping out again, it may be just a mini side lunge that you're taking to the left. Doesn't have to be a big, you know, really wide stance. It does get a lot more challenging, by the way, if you do. But as you have probably at least seen done, you know, in a really, you know, big traditional example of a warrior two pose, you might see legs really far out, and those are not. That's not the goal. That's not the goal. Let's get a really good, strong foundation. And stabilizing that left knee of yours right above the ankle, finding whatever position for your other leg, your right leg, down through the foot, again, at whatever angle that needs to be. Then trying to find balance as you work your way up from your good, strong, deep core, strong balance, feeling of kind of a lifting engagement kind of coming through there that helps you elongate up through your spine as much in a balanced way as you can be there. And again, you can come out of this anytime, you know, if you want to. You can also do little bends, and a little back and forth here. I myself am going to hold it strong and steady because again, I'm focused on that feeling balanced, and that for me, I like to feel really grounded and well supported, so I can identify as much as I can. Going up from there is a nice sense of balance. Another expression, maybe you're extending out over your left arm and looking that way if it feels right to you. And again, looking towards the future, looking out into the season ahead, and welcoming it warmly with love and gratitude and appreciation, and like a feeling of readiness, like, yep, I'm here, I'm at my center, I know we're going into a new cycle, and I'm ready for it, whatever it will bring. And then when you're ready, you can bring that left arm down, support yourself any way you want. You can come out of the lunge anytime, and you could still join me in this kind of symbolic movement exercise through your body as you would turn and look out over your right arm again, extending that direction. And again, sending so much love and gratitude into the past, from the solstice to now. Even if you want to go back to the beginning of the year, it's all good. Just infuse it with gratitude, love, and appreciation, because it's all brought you right here where you are right now. And that's powerful. You are here right now, right here, and this is exactly where you're supposed to be. And boy, it's worth celebrating, really being here and now, enjoying the fruits of our labors, and really taking that in with gratitude, and also being willing to look forward and into the future, at least maybe until, say, the winter solstice, between now and then, and just really infusing that with goodness, with light, because you're coming from this place of intention and centeredness here and now. Well done, everyone. I'd like us to get into some kind of a forward folded position, and knowing that we're going to be working our way down toward a more relaxed and supported relaxation position here pretty soon. You could start making that mindful transition towards the floor or wherever you like to be horizontal. Or you could stay standing, because of course we do have standing forward fold options that we don't do as often as the others. There's a slight risk involved, of course, but there's some nice opportunities there as well, whether you choose to stay a little bit more upright or leaning over your chair. Um, the chair seat can sometimes be a nice level of support, or maybe you're using this as a way of easing your way down in a way that then you can do anything on hands and knees. That could be cat cows. Love that position for cat cows, or sitting back into child's pose. Of course, you could be sitting in your chair, going into your seated forward fold in that position, or you could be getting yourself into that more reclined horizontal position on your back, and going into the folded position in some way that really feels nice for you. So for example, it could be, once you feel well supported, comfortable, head, neck, everything else as much as you can, maybe hugging one knee in at a time, extending the other leg out, breathing. And then again, let's get back into our equalized flow of breath. Whatever forward folded position you are choosing for yourself, maybe you're drawing both knees into your chest or doing happy baby pose. But those full rhythmic and as much as possible equalized breaths, your inhale and your exhale. Let's just be with that experience a little bit longer. If it helps to silently count in whatever pace is feeling right to you. The length of your inhale, the length of your exhale. Now you may want to stay in your folded position, especially if it's very relaxing and very comfortable for you. That might be exactly where you want to stay. You might want to come out of it and potentially go into other positions that just feel really good to you, other stretches. We did do, some hip opening today, especially if you were doing those warrior two lunges with me before. Did a lot of hip opening, but you do have the figure four pose as an option, or a good old spinal twist. That's kind of what my body seems to be calling for next. So I'm going to set that up for a supine spinal twist. That means the laying down on your back version, where you might find support as you angle your legs, your hips and pelvis more over to the left is kind of what I suggest. You know why by now. I've explained the movement of digestion through your large intestine here. It's going to be going in this circular motion from your upper right over to the upper left, downward, down to the lower left, and over to the lower right, and back up again. Massaging. You don't have to use your hand like this, but it can be really helpful at times. But you want to keep it moving in that same direction that I've described before. Or you could just be relaxed in this position, or whatever position you're in, and let your full, complete breaths come through to help that massage of sorts. Also tuning into the neck and the shoulders and even your face. Woo, wah, wee. Kind of feels like a nice exercise of engagement of all those facial muscles. And then afterwards, kind of leaves you with a hint of a smile as you let everything else relax. Just an idea. Woo, wah, wee. Probably wouldn't do anything like this unless somebody was suggesting that you and encouraging you to do so. So that's what I'm doing now because I think it's useful and fun and silly, and all that stuff is good for us. If you are doing a spinal twist or another asymmetrical pose, then of course we want to find completion and come to the other side in the way that feels right for you, providing support or maneuvering props around. This can be whatever you want it to be, anything you need for it to be, which might be different than what you did on the first side. That's okay. We like to try to balance things out, of course, from right to left, but sometimes we really need something different on one side than the other. Maybe more support or a more subtle position of stretch. Maybe it's holding one side longer because that's what your body needs. Finding that breath, full and complete, possibly equalized, equal flow on the inhale and the exhale. And as we take these next few moments in whatever position is really feeling good to you, I'm going to stay in my spinal twist just a little bit longer myself. But anytime you feel ready to get into that ideal position for our relaxation, please feel free to do that whenever you're ready. And all the while, keeping that attention on the flow of your breath, being as relaxed as you can be in your body, and equalizing breath can either help you envision maybe just a little bit more clearly or deeply this sense of balance, this sense of equanimity within you, even just for a few moments. Maybe you'd like to expand upon the symbolism of turning and looking out over towards your right, looking and blessing and appreciating the season that we are just moving out of, all the energy, all the blessings. And then, of course, when you feel ready, symbolically or in just your mind's eye, looking over the left toward the future and blessing all of that, infusing it with love. And you can do this fairly effortlessly now because you have consciously cultivated this sense of being at your center. At times, we can maintain that and feel that really good sense of balance, centeredness, equanimity, but oftentimes it's a moving target, if you will. And so that's why we practice those rhythmic movements, because it's allowing you to be so aware of the necessary movements out from your center, corrective movements, whatever is needed to then bring you back to a sense of center, knowing and identifying that place, even if it's just for a second or two, and then appreciating the ability and the necessity to correct and move out from your center and be with that play, that flux that I think every human has to learn to master, of the balance, the balance challenge for body, mind, spirit, breath, energy. If you want to find a different position for your body, one that feels even more comfortable, more relaxing, more symmetrical, again, symbolically placing your body in a way that's very balanced from right to left, or whatever really feels right for you, correct and beneficial for you, as we just take the next full minute to breathe in silence, absorb, and love exactly where you are, right here, right now. Stay longer if you would like, or when you're ready, begin to gently move with awareness and gratitude through the extremities of the body, into your hands, into your fingers, into your feet, into your toes, into your ankles. Feeling your throat, maybe a swallow or a sigh or a yawn. Really getting back in touch with your face. A smile turning into a yawn turning into a smile turning into a bigger smile, fluttering your eyes open, blinking, appreciating the ability of the eyes to see, to take in the visual field around you, continuing to engage a little more through your body, through your arms, through your legs, through your shoulders, through your neck, through your hips, through your glutes and belly muscles, chest, ribs, lungs, heart, any movements that would feel so good to you until you feel ready in your own best way to ease up, to find your best way of coming to a upright seated position in a way that honors your body and all aspects of your being. Seated on the floor is only comfortable for some, so feel free to find that boost on a bolster or getting back to your chair smoothly and safely, whatever you need until you feel like you are landing back into a balanced, upright position and finding that sense of center. Well, either in your mind's eye, and that inner sense within you, or maybe placing your hands in a certain way that helps you really sense and feel your center, which could be different from what it was before. And so full of this gratitude, you might envision, we know that the heart is slightly placed over to the left side of our chest, but here in this equalizing, centered place that we want to honor and embody as much as we can, we're really filling up the heart center, which of course includes the physical heart and lungs, but it's really coming from right here in this center behind the breastbone, in the center of the chest, beaming out in all directions with so much gratitude. Thank you all so much for being here with me today and celebrating the balance of the equinox, the fall equinox that we are in here in the Northern Hemisphere. Thank you so much for being here present fully today. Namaste.